Good morning, everybody. This is another episode of the Career Coach RX podcast, and I'm so excited this morning to have Dr. Antoine on. We're spending this month highlighting Black excellence across various career fields and talking about things that are pertinent to our communities. And so we're gonna talk about this morning equity and STEM. But I also noted that Dr. Antoine wrote a great book at focusing on AI, so that'll also be part of the conversation. I'm going to hand this podcast over to Dr. Antoine to introduce himself and to start our conversation off, and then we'll go from there. Dr. Antoine, thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Kristy, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody, whichever your geographic location. Dr. Arthur Antoine here. I'm a civil engineer by profession, or by training, I should say. I like to consider myself an entrepreneur by lifestyle. Humble upbringing, single parent mother from St. Lucia in the Caribbean. A lot of people got to go on Google to find out where that is. Anyway, got my first degree in civil engineering from Trinidad and Tobago, the University of the West Indies campus out there. And then was fortunate to work for British multinational consultants throughout the Caribbean on infrastructure development projects, major road, bridges, drainage projects, all internationally funded, the World Bank, USAID, etc. And then did that for about 5 years. Then did a master's in ocean engineering at Texas A&M University. Ocean engineering or coastal engineering, some call it. That water being my passion. I'm a true island boy, and could not get work after that. When I finished between 2009 2010, hung out in Houston for a while, just could not get the job that I desired, so I moved back to the Caribbean with the same engineering company. They were Halcro, and moved through a transition, being acquired by CH2M at that time, or during that time. Worked for them a bit in the more mature or more senior roles, resident engineer, doing like project management, business development, trying to get projects. And then moved on to work for a multilateral development bank, the Caribbean Development Bank, for a specific portfolio of disaster mitigation projects based in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Another great experience, my first taste at real program level management, managing a portfolio of projects. And then my vocation led me to pursue my PhD. I was looking all over for schools from the UK to the US, and looking for which school would offer me the best package. I was particularly interested in Arizona State University, but in a way, no discredit to ASU. I'm glad I did not go there. I'd probably still be in school on the trajectory they had me on. I ended up at the University of Colorado Boulder. Great interactions and interviews even before I left the Caribbean. And then when they had funding and a great project ready that aligned with my interests of procurement and pre-construction and contracts, I jumped on that opportunity. So I've been based in Colorado since then, since 2014. Finished that PhD 2017. Worked for a small Black-owned business, although we work nationally on transportation and aviation projects. Another great experience to get in the U.S. industry, and maybe ironically, all my offers at that time, finishing my PhD and having all this experience were from smaller companies, the DBE companies, as the feds classify them, disadvantaged business enterprises. I think a lot of people were impressed by my resume that boost their proposal. And more recently got hired by Mott McDonald, a global 20,000 strong globally multinational consulting company or engineering management company, and looking forward to new trajectories from here.
Well, one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the show is because as a career coach, I want to make sure that individuals who my clients, even though I focus on the social impact industry, I'm also an educator. And I want to make sure that the young people who listen in, that they also have an opportunity to be exposed to different and diverse career fields. And so one of the things that you talk about or you advocate for is representing expanding STEM opportunities in underserved communities. What motivated you to become an engineer? What inspires you to do the work that you do to advocate for, careers in STEM or access from a global perspective of expanding opportunities for minorities in the STEM field?
I'll say in summary, I haven't lived that journey. I mean, it started off getting exposed to basic construction practices. I mean, an uncle of mine had his cement block or brick making from which was so labor intensive. Watched him do that and supply hundreds of thousands of blocks across the island. That would be like my summer job, helping him out there. Watched him grow into getting the machinery to start doing it, innovative machinery to start doing it, so it was less labor intensive. Beyond that, after getting into my degree and pursuing my academics, looking at the UK schools, getting scholarships from I got a scholarship from the Organization of American States to do my bachelor's and to do my master's on the US side of things. Recognizing and after journeying through every level of immigration status, F1, J1, OPT, etc., I realized there's no guided or structured path into the STEM fields for somebody like me, also for somebody like me. That dives into the topics of my latest publication called The Foreigner's Guide to that US Dream Job, which focuses on STEM education and advocacy and job readiness, particularly for highly skilled immigrants, the huge influx we're having in the US at this time, and also especially for international students. Because the data shows, I try to keep it as apolitical as possible. I know it's a hot topic, but just following the data, even from 70s, 80s, these campuses and schools are going out to a ready market globally. Everybody, developing world or developed world outside of the US, wants to get to the US for an education and possible career. They come in here, the expenditure is, besides just the social value and diversity value, checking that box, the expenditure is greatly contributing to the US economy and the communities, even subsidizing domestic student fees in some cases. And then it's another world to get into a job in the STEM field.